I truly want you young guys to get you a deer. So I'm going to go over something else with you young guys, okay? I'm going to go, that's something I want y'all to know. I've got 40 years plus years of rifle, bow hunting, and black powder experience. I'm you, though. I don't claim to be a professional, but I do get a deer every year. I'm not bragging. Okay, it's Wildman's tips. I want you to check for brow tine marks in rubs. Alright? I want you to know the difference between a cluster of velvet rubs, which will look like this here, and they'll have this little bitty fine stuff under them. They'll be rolled down with shavings in it. You'll find a cluster where the bucks are hanging out and making velvet rubs. Now, you don't mix your velvet rubs, young guys. You young hunters, you learn what a rub line is. You see how pretty and polished up that is? I also want you to check for brow tine marks to see if it's a big buck. A lot of times, if you look here, when a buck's got real big brow tines, look here. He'll leave the brow tine marks in the bark. What does the rub tell us? I want you to follow the rub line if you can, because it can lead into the scrapes. You find the scrapes, check for little licking limbs broke over the scrape. Does use scrapes too. I've watched them. Anyways, I want you to hunt downwind from the scrapes. If you're not having any luck at the scrapes, I want you young guys, when you find that rub line, you make sure they're polished. This is what's telling you. The deers are there. The deers are moving through there. If you ain't hunting close to rub lines or whatever, you might not even ever see a deer. You might be one of them guys that's always saying, I don't never get a deer. I don't never see one. Because you're not hunting close to the rub lines. The rub lines, I've seen several bucks. I've stayed out all day. I told you about this. And I've seen more than one buck use this, so I know they're putting scent too. And I've seen a lot of does come through around them. What they're doing is hunting for that scrape. That's the breeding spot. And you find a cluster of scrapes. Anyways, I want you guys to be able to tell from regular velvet rubs will be a cluster and it'll have shavings all in them and it'll look old. Don't hunt velvet scrapes. Rubs, I mean. Anyways, okay, this is your tip. Hunt downwind of the rub line. I've killed lots of deer hunting downwind of rub lines. He might come in. I've done this. I've killed him at 11:30 to 12. Go out into the woods, get up in my tree stand about 9:30 or 10. Here he comes about 11:30. Everybody else has done went back to camp, eating breakfast or whatever. You stay out there if you want a big one. You want one of these? You want one of these right here? You stay out there at about 12. One of them big ones. Alright, anyways. I don't want to make this very long. Okay, the rub line. Follow it if you can. Could lead to scrapes. Scrapes, check to see if there's a broke little licking limb over it. Tip, set up downwind of the scrapes. I've got over 40 years. Here's another tip. Never assume that your bow sights are still set in. And your iron sights or your scope. Check it. Check it the day before. Check it that morning if you have to. But don't do like some guys I hear. It was a buckable out there and I missed him. Oh, you remember what I told you young guys. Don't get all shook up. You pick that round patch of hair out, brown, and make sure it's here. You don't have to hit him in the heart. Punch them lungs. He won't go far. A deer that's double lung shot will die. And he won't go very far. And they'll cough blood. And it'll pump out both sides. If you shoot a deer in the heart, he might run 120 yards. So probably further. I've shot him in the heart and now had him run off a long ways. Anyways, I just want you young guys to remember this. Right here. I don't know if y'all can see this guy here I was teaching. See that polished rub? This guy right here kills a buck every year. And who taught him? I did. I know him. I'm not going to say his name. But he does get one every year. always remember, find that polished rub, baby. Find the next one and the next one. Check for brow tine marks. I want you young cats to get you a deer. If you'll listen to me, you'll get a deer. Check for droppings too in them scrapes. And I'll tell you something. A lot of guys don't want me to tell you all this, but that's how you get the deers. It's Wildman's tips for you young bow hunters and you young riflemen that's starting. I want y'all to get your deer this year. And you'll be thanking that old man all the way to the grocery store where you ain't having to buy that meat. You can survive, baby. Wildman out. Never give up.